A viewer captured this video, a man stealing a squad car in Grand Forks as he tried to get away from police who were trying to arrest him. That same man is dead tonight after driving that squad car into an oncoming semi on Interstate 29 in Grand Forks.
It happened between 32nd Avenue South and Demers Avenue. Traffic has been slowed in that area while investigators try to sort out what happened, and in large part because the semi is disabled and partially off the roadway. Valley News Team's Melanie Palmer joins us now with the bizarre happenings prior to the crash. Melanie?
Mike, Andrea, bizarre is the right word. Prior to the crash, police were doing a welfare check on the man who was later killed in the crash. This was around 7 tonight. They tried to arrest him for an outstanding warrant, but they say he became violent, tried to unsuccessfully disarm an officer, and broke off his holster. Luella Martin was an eyewitness to this, and she talked with me tonight about what happened. Take a listen.
First thing I hear was the police officers and the suspect yelling, and then I looked over to see what was happening, and both of the cops were tasing him. Like, it was just insane. This is my first time ever seeing anything like that.
After the man took off in the squad car, he got onto I-29, and that's when he drove into the path of an oncoming semi. Police tell us they don't believe the semi driver was injured in the accident, but is shaken up by the whole ordeal. They add the officers involved are being medically checked out as well. Andrea?
All right, thank you, Melanie. The victim's name in the crash is not being released until family members are notified. The portion of I-29 between 32nd Avenue South and Demers was set to reopen at 10 this evening.
A man is dead after being electrocuted this morning in rural Frazee, Minnesota. Becker County authorities say when responders arrived around 10:30, they found 25-year-old Dylan Andrew Wilson in cardiac arrest. Friends on scene were performing CPR. Those life-saving efforts were unsuccessful. Wilson was pronounced dead at the scene. Authorities say that he had been working on a cement pouring project at the home of an acquaintance. When finishing off the concrete, a long pole he was using came into contact with overhead power lines and electrocuted him.
I never know when a truck's going to break through your house and almost hit you.
A Holly family remains in their home tonight despite damages from a hit-and-run driver. Holly police officers tried pulling the driver over late yesterday afternoon. The man took off on foot, stole a vehicle, and crashed it into the home. Valley News Team's Kelly Hubbard talked with the homeowner who was in the house at the time.
Right here watching a cartoon with Connor. He was right here next to me.
It was just like any other Sunday for Jim Lepper and his 2-year-old son, Connor.
I just heard a real loud screeching sound, and within a second,
this Ford Ranger pickup came crashing into the side of his house, into the living room, right where the dog bed usually is.
Just happened so fast, kind of had a panic attack almost. We both got down on our stomachs, just in case. I didn't know what was going to happen.
Jim says police were chasing this man in the stolen vehicle right here on Main Street. That's when he went around this corner, hit a tree, and crashed right into their home, going nearly 60 miles an hour.
I've never seen anything like it.
And that's when the man, 39-year-old Burton Bonham, got out of the truck and ran.
Yeah, I kind of seen him run right through my front yard.
And as of right now, this man is still missing. Police say that he has multiple warrants out for his arrest. So if you have any information on his whereabouts, please contact your local law enforcement. In Holly, Kelly Hubbard, Valley News Live.
No one was injured, and the cost of the damages to the home is not known yet.
Overall crime continues to decrease in West Fargo. The city earned the title of the safest city in North Dakota in 2018 and 2019, while having a 5.7% decrease in crime from 2016 to 2018. One area of concern is a rise in property crimes, going from 1,200 in 2017 to 1,300 last year. If you'd like to see the full report, go to our website, valleynewslive.com.
Road construction is coming to Horace. City leaders explain plans tonight. One of the most noticeable additions will be a roundabout going in at 76th Avenue and County Road 17 South. While that work is being done, traffic will be rerouted from 64th Avenue to 81st Street South to Wall Avenue. Another phase of the work involves upgrading 64th through 76th from a minimum rate maintenance road to a standard gravel road. City officials say a detour cannot be put in place until the gravel is put down. The roundabout should be completed by mid-August and 76th Avenue South by the end of October.
A new warning tonight about robocalls, and these are even more sinister and annoying than what you're probably used to. There's an up-and-coming trend that's called One Ring. It's when you get a call, but your phone only rings once. Scammers are hoping that you'll call them back, and that's when you get a hefty charge. Valley News Team's Melanie Palmer investigates to see what you can do to avoid these calls.
This is just a final courtesy call to activate your warranty before we close your file. Would you like to hear your options?
I block at least 7 numbers a day. It's very irritating.
If you're like Misha Carter, you most likely get these pesky calls every day.
I'm calling in regards to your Hyundai Sonata.
But what do you usually do when you get one of them? Do you ignore it or do you answer it?
So I pick up and then they're like, oh, hey, we got student loan fees for you. Are you approved for a credit card? Then I hang up, then I block them.
I usually don't answer if I don't know the number.
No matter which one you choose to do, the FCC is now warning you to never call the number back. If you do, you could be connected to a 900 number that charges per minute fees.
Going to be giving people my social security card or debit card information over the phone.
And that's exactly why Carter never calls these numbers back.
So what can you do? Is there really any way to get rid of these annoying calls? An official with Phone and Fix tells us there are some apps that can help block these kinds of numbers. However, a lot of them don't work 100% of the time.
There are also options among most phone providers like Premium Caller ID. But for most people like Carter, they're going to stick with their usual daily routine.
And it's like the more unsubscribing I do, the more calls I got. So I just left it alone and just continue to block them.
That's ignoring the calls and blocking them if you don't recognize them. In Fargo, Melanie Palmer, Valley News Live.
FCC officials say that if you do call one of these numbers back, monitor your bills for premium charges. You can also try resolving the matter with your phone company and possibly blocking outgoing international calls if you don't regularly make them.
Investigators are searching for the cause of a fire that engulfed a shed on NDSU's campus. Crews were called to campus around 4 this afternoon after heavy smoke was seen pouring from a large storage building in the back of the bioscience building. Inside, there were several tractors, snow blowers, and other equipment. The fire was put out quickly, but the building sustained visible smoke damage. No injuries were reported, and a damage estimate is not known at this time.
A Fergus Falls man was sentenced to 4 years in prison in a child abuse case that resulted in the death of a 6-year-old boy. Walter Winhoff pleaded guilty to second-degree manslaughter. As part of the plea bargain, Winhoff must testify against Bobby Bishop, who is facing second-degree murder, manslaughter, and malicious punishment of a child. The case surrounded the death of 6-year-old Justice Berland. His twin brother was taken into protective custody after Winhoff and Bishop were arrested.
Alarming statistics show suicide is the second leading cause of death for people under the age of 24. And studies show suicide rates are continuing to rise. As part of Mental Health Awareness Month, Valley News Team's Katie Opperly asked an area psychologist about the prevalence of suicide in youth and what you can do to help.
Over 500 children ages 10 to 14 were lost to suicide in 2017. For the age range of 15 to 24, more than 6,000 lives were lost. The latest concern, a study showing more than 1.6 million children and young adults attempted suicide by poisoning. Licensed psychologist Dr. Renee Renardi says there has been an increase in mental illness in children at younger and younger ages.
We don't know exactly why. It might be the amount of stress, it might be a lot of different environmental or even biological factors.
But she says what we do know is that youth suicide does happen. So as parents, it's important to pay attention and know signs to look for.
Changes in mood, changes in appetite. People might seem more agitated, more restless, more sad and hopeless.
She also says it's important to be able to have a conversation with your child to find out if there's any underlying issues.
It's really good to check in with our children to see, how are you doing? How are you feeling about that test at school? How are things going with your friends? Any problems with kids at school? So often we're in such a hustle-bustle society that we get very disconnected affected, even as family members.
If you do find that there may be a cause for concern, Dr. Renardi says to intervene early.
If you're concerned about your child, it's really important to seek help. Oftentimes you have a gut feeling that something is going on. Don't ignore that gut feeling.
Dr. Renardi tells us having conversations, acting early, and seeking professional help could make the difference of a life. In Fargo, Katie Opperly, Valley News Live.
We have a list of resources for suicide prevention on our website, valleynewslive.com.
Valley News Live 10 at 10 continues with No Wait Weather.
All right, the clouds finally broke, but the temperatures didn't. It stayed pretty chilly throughout the day, and tonight we're cooling fairly rapidly under those clear skies. In fact, right now it is mostly moony, a little sliver in the western sky. Look at your current conditions at Hector. We have a temperature that is on the cool side. We have dipped into those 30s, 38 degrees here in the FM area. That 7-mile-per-hour wind makes it feel like it's in the low 30s out there. So a jacket would come in handy for any late evening activities. Heavy rain making its way through northern portions of Missouri. All this is sliding off to the east, and we have a fairly dry and inactive pattern setting up shop as we head through the overnight hours. But that north flow all day kind of pushing that, well, very chilly air into the valley, and the coldest of it is arriving in north central Minnesota, where temperatures are 30 degrees in Baudette. We have 39 rather in Jamestown, and 43 in Alexandria right now. Grand Forks, you're at 37 degrees. And a closer look showing Hallock at 34, Crookston also at that same reading. Here is a look at your hour-by-hour forecast. Quiet conditions all night long, clear skies, and bitter cold temperatures that'll be, well, even briefly in the 20s in northern Minnesota. A frosty start to your day. Many of us at or just below freezing. Down south, staying just above freezing. All right, tomorrow, big difference. Light wind, and as opposed to being straight out of the north, we'll see them shift and become a little bit more easterly as we go through the afternoon hours. That means we can add a few degrees to those temperatures that we saw today. So, well, generally, we'll see a lot of 50s across the region. Now, late in the day, a lot of clouds and some moderate showers making their way along and south of the South Dakota border. As we go into the nighttime hours, we'll see an approaching system from the northwest, another one to the south. We'll be sandwiched on Wednesday, but for almost all of us, Tuesday looks dry, a couple degrees warmer with less gusty winds. So all in all, after a chilly start, we'll see temperatures rising under sunny skies into the 50s, peaking in the upper 50s to right at 60 degrees, wind east at 5 to 15 miles per hour. Your hometown forecast looks like this. The Devil's Lake Basin, mid-50s there, 55 in Jamestown, Grand Forks in the mid-50s as well. A lot of low to mid-50s across portions of western Minnesota with some abundant sunshine in the afternoon. And late day clouds will be building in from the west as our rain for Wednesday makes its way in. A sign of spring shared by Bruce West near Flum. The prairie crocus making its appearance this spring season. Here's a look at your planning forecast. All right, that Wednesday sandwich with rain to the north and south should stay out of Grand Forks and Fargo. Temperatures still near 60 degrees. That little weather system that moves through will cool off much of the region just for a couple of degrees on Thursday. And then Friday looks outstanding. Most of the day high and dry. A late day chance of showers into your Saturday morning. We'll have temperatures near 60 degrees. Sunday and Monday, however,
yes,
that is that's looking more seasonable for this time of the year.
He's in, Andrea and Mike, take note. Got a good
Anybody
forecast?
at home who likes some spring, yes.
Come on, everybody.
Yes.
Take such.
Later on Valley News Live at 10, it could be a game changer for those who need medical treatment living in rural parts of the country. The idea behind the Container Clinic after this break.